Welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show, the glitch art video podcast hosted by Omnia Sol. Episode 13 Simulations. Hello and welcome to the Omnia Sol Art Show, also known as TOSAS. This is a glitch art video podcast, and I am your hostess with the mostess, Omnia Sol. So welcome to the show. Tonight we are glitching both VHS and DVD. We got a VHS of the Matrix Revolutions. I was going to use the original Matrix, but then my VHS copy is the widescreen copy, and I needed full screen just because the widescreen version is just, it's so wide that end up having like big black bars on each side, which I feel like ruined the aesthetic a little bit. But mainly the reason behind the Matrix combined with the other movies is so the episode is called Simulations. We are on the 13th episode, and my original idea was, what if, since it's the 13th episode, what if we do the 13th floor? Because I've never seen Ghosts, 13 Ghosts, I mean, but I've heard it's scary. But the 13th floor I have seen, and it has this kind of Gnostic theme of a simulation or a holographic universe. And it's like, well, if I'm doing that, then I know that The Matrix would be the perfect movie to do with that, because the 13th floor came out in 98, Matrix came out in 99, and Matrix is obviously way more well known as far as like simulation theory goes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about simulation theory, and I'm going to try my best to not be cringe about it, because I feel like that's one thing about simulation theory, is that it tends, a lot of folks tend to be cringe about it. But yeah, so 13th floor, The Matrix, and we're also doing, when I told my friend Tony Tones, longtime watcher and listener of the show, about how I was going to do an episode about simulations and how I was going to do the 13th floor, they looked up they Googled it and found the Rotten Tomatoes was like really low. It's got like a 33%. And they're like, why don't you do a better movie like Dark City that deals with the same kind of stuff, or Existence with a Z at the end, the Cronenberg. And so I watched those two, really, really liked them. Would still maybe do I was able to find a DVD of Dark City, so we got some footage of that spliced in as well. But as far as Existence, I'm still waiting on a VHS from eBay, so I might do that in the future, with the exception that obviously Cronenberg deals a lot with body horror, and sometimes I'm not sure if that is right for the Omnia Sol Art Show, because I want this show to be something you can chill out and relax to and enjoy the beauty of, and sometimes kind of gross out horror stuff gets a little difficult to watch. I noticed that on one of the live episodes for Halloween where I did Day of the Dead, and some of the gore in that, although I do enjoy cinematic violence, sometimes with a show like this, it's kind of difficult to watch with the glitch art, because it's like you're seeing something so beautiful juxtaposed with something so ugly. And I know it's kind of ironic saying this like while we're doing The Matrix with a big shootout scene, but it is what it is. Yes. Okay. So back to simulation theory. Well, actually, first of all, I want to talk about just the glitching of this in general. This was my first attempt with my synthesizer Charlie, which I got back from my friend Mitch, to take in two inputs and output one. On the last episode, we were using my synth Sophie, my processor Sophie, and that one has a switch in between the two. This, you're able to take
two inputs in, one input out, and it's got a knob between the A mode and the B mode. So one input is A mode, one input is B mode. So I was able to kind of like put it in between the two and switch between it, and you get some really nice overlay effects. And then for some of the footage, so I did that Matrix Revolutions with Dark City. Then with 13th Floor, I took the output, plugged that into Sophie, and plugged that in the TV. And with that, you really get some interesting color effects. What I found is like layering the two video circuit bender processors on top of each other, you really have to be careful with the amount of glitching you're doing, because sometimes it just gets overwhelmed and you do get some dropouts. But it did, just with a couple knobs flipped, really got some interesting color work. So I'm excited for you all to see that in tonight's episode. Visually, I think tonight is probably one of the best episodes we've ever had. Multiple inputs, multiple glitch technology, analog glitch technologies working together to create a cohesive show. And I'm very excited about that. All right, let's get on to talking about simulation theory. All right, so what I want to say is I am by no means extremely invested in simulation theory, but I do think it is an interesting thought to exercise. I often face periods, especially associated with my depression, but periods of extreme disassociation and depersonalization where nothing feels real. Everything feels artificial. And I think there's so many reasons behind that. Our own alienation under capitalism is a big one, obviously. Right now with the coronavirus, our alienation from each other, trying to, being 6 feet from one another. I love the game Animal Crossing, and that's such a good example of the simulation where you have this artificial reality of real life, but it's easier, and it's real life for the most part separated from alienation. You do have debt in the game, but it's so easy to pay off. You just shake some trees or go fishing, play the game, enjoy it, and you easily pay off your debt. You are not in servitude to massive amounts of debt that has been forced upon you. So it's very easy to, I actually discovered the 13th Floor when I was like disassociating really, really heavily. And I was doing a bunch of Googling about whether or not anything was real. Like, is matter real? Are we just a projection, like Plato's allegory of the cave? Are we just shadows on the cave wall? And what is the reality beyond these shadows on the cave wall? What is the reality beyond the images, the manufactured images that you're seeing right now watching my show? So obviously there's a lot of movies that deal with this because movies are created reality. But I was disassociating very, very hard, Googling whether or not things are real, and I came across this YouTube series. Now there's a billion of them with tech bros saying like, oh, of course the simulation's real and everything, like and so now there's so many. But I came across this, like, which I'm not going to link it because by the second episode it just delved completely into pseudoscience and just was talking about this like guy who spirited who channeled some spirit. And I looked up the spirit's name, and it wasn't like associated with any like religion or tradition or anything. It was literally like, oh cool, this is like occult fun stuff. Anyways, before it got delved into this new age cult stuff, I watched this YouTube video about the holographic universe theory, and it mentioned the 13th Floor and how in the 13th Floor there's a guy who's who's basically like framed for murder, and he's trying to get out of that. And so he goes to this building he works at, and in the 13th floor they have this like simulated reality that you can go into, and he goes into to try to find this guy, and then come to find out that his reality that he's lived his whole life is another layer of the simulation. So he gets out of it. So it's this Gnostic idea of everything that is created is this false reality that we're living in, and what does a genuine reality look like? And I do think it's an interesting thought exercise. I think it's an interesting thing to take into perspective where, you don't want to completely, decide that nothing is real and neglect your life and your health and everything, because who cares? It's all fake. But a lot of our reality is fake. A lot of it is marketing. And so how can we try to be more genuine in our own reality? And there's a lot to be said. And I'm not I'm not Plato. I enjoy philosophy, but I'm not here to just armchair philosophy. But I just want to kind of put some of these thoughts out there. If you enjoy them, explore them for yourself. Where in your life do things feel simulated, and how can you change that? Okay, so I actually looked it up, and the first Matrix came out in 99. I was right about that. Dark City came out in 98. 13th Floor actually came out in 99. So it came out the same year as The Matrix, but obviously was not the cultural touchstone that The Matrix was. A lot of reasons for that. The Matrix is just a better movie. There's a lot of good kind of Gnostic metaphors in it. There's also the underlining metaphor of being transgender in a cis reality, or not, I shouldn't say cis reality, but a cis dominant world, being trans in it. Although I don't know how much the creators, the Wachowskis, knew that going into that, because it was before they're, both of them came out as trans women. But, and also one thing about The Matrix that I love, even though I do think this media is better, on the set of The Matrix, apparently they had copies of the comic book The Invisibles by Grant Morrison, which, if you're interested in Gnosticism, if you're interested in any sort of like magic or occultism or that sort of like history, counterculture, anything like that, can't recommend The Invisibles enough. It's just such a great series. One thing that I wanted to say also, production wise, that I think is really funny, I just kind of like put the DVD in and let it go for the scenes with the 13th floor. For whatever reason, like I got this, I talked about getting this DVD player on the last episode, but I don't have a remote for it or anything. It's literally just like put it in, press play. Anyways, the subtitles were somehow on just the settings wise. So sometimes, because of the glitch too, it almost becomes this sort of Brechtian epic theater or Godard of just like the text taking over, because it's it'll like you'll see the text like floating above. That's literally like subtitles from the 13th floor that are getting into view while I'm glitching it, which I think I saw it when I was filming, and at first I was like, oh, maybe I should try to take that out, but I actually genuinely enjoy it. I think it adds to the overall glitch aesthetic. It's part of it. These incoherent words that are not even associated necessarily with the images you're seeing coming across the screen. There's something to be said for keeping it in there. But we are going to go ahead and move to our first segment of the show, I should say. You know what it is. It's time for What am I drinking tonight? So tonight I am drinking a classic beverage that has been featured on the show before. I am drinking a strawberry sparkling water, but I put about an ounce of orange mango juice in it to really spice things up, to make a no mosa, which is like a mimosa but without alcohol, or like a beer mosa or a stag mosa, but instead of beer, use sparkling water. And I might drink I might have a kombucha later. I haven't decided what flavor, but it definitely feels like a kombucha day, I gotta say. So without further ado, that has been What am I drinking tonight? All right, so tonight's musician of the week is an artist named Daniel Frumberg, and you can find more of his music at danielfrumberg.com, which will be linked in the show notes, as well as you should go check out his YouTube page as well, which will also be linked in the show notes. We're going to go ahead and start by playing an unreleased song that he sent to us. The song is called Undestructed Helpings of Budding Day. So check it out. Enjoy this exclusive unreleased song from Daniel Frumberg, and we will be back with you after the song. Enjoy. All right, the artist, Daniel Frumberg, the song, Undestructed Helpings of Budding Day. So that's an unreleased song. Luckily we got it on the show, so you get to hear it here first on the Omnia Sol art show. But go check out Daniel Frumberg's other music at danielfrumberg.com, or if you don't feel like typing in that way, you can also type in danielfrumbergmusic.bandcamp.com, as the link will be in the show notes. Also, go check out his YouTube channel, go check out his videos, and we are going to go ahead and move to our second segment of the show. This is the part of the show where I read your fortune on air. You know what it is. It is time for Card of
of the show. All right, so for card of the show, we are going to go ahead and shuffle this deck of tarot cards 3 times and pull a card and see what we get. And that is going to be your card of the week. So dwell on that card. Think of your problem now or just your question in general while I'm shuffling the deck. We're going to go ahead and shuffle it the first time. Second time. And the third shuffle of the night. See what your card of the show is. All right, and our card of the show tonight is the 9 of Pentacles, which shows a woman who is kind of draped in this golden gown with flowers on it, and she's surrounded by this kind of like vineyard plants with pentacles growing on it, and she's got a bird, like a hawk or something with a nice, I'm not exactly sure what kind of bird, but she's got one of those kind of like falcon gloves for handling birds, and has a lot to do with prosperity, money coming to you, money being at the forefront, but she's definitely someone who brings in wealth, and that doesn't necessarily have to be money, but it very much can be. I feel like a lot of times we have the wrong definition of wealth in general. Sorry, I switched my drink of the night, or what am I drinking tonight, was that orange juice and seltzer, but I switched to a tea. I thought a tea would be nice. A hot tea would be good to tea and tarot, that combination is a wonderful combination. Anyways, I feel like we need to change our definition of wealth to include more than just money. It needs to be the roof over your head, the food you eat, the relationships you have. All of these things that make up your material life count as wealth. But we're going to go ahead and see what the book tells us. 9 of Pentacles. Solitary enjoyment, inheritance, wisdom, accomplishment, material well-being, the need for prudence, love of home. You are enjoying the good things in life at this time. This is a card of solitary enjoyment, as well as love of home and more pastoral pursuits. You have succeeded in what you want to achieve through your own self-control. This is a feminine card. If you are male and you receive this card, you have relied on the more feminine aspects of your personality, such as diplomacy, empathy, and wisdom, to achieve what you have now. The 9 of Pentacles contains a warning. Be prudent with your affairs, particularly when it comes to those related to home and family. So there you go. Try to be prudent with your affairs when it comes to home and family, as the book says. And, I don't honestly know what the term prudent means. I feel like I hear it all the time, and I don't really know what it means, other than the Beatles, like, Dear Prudence. But Googling it, it says acting with or showing care and thought for the future. So, and it gives the example, no prudent money manager would authorize a loan without first knowing its purpose. So so show care in your affairs, especially when in regards to home and family this week. So try to do that. Hope that card of the show, I should say, helps you. As you know, that has been the segment Card of the Show. So it seems as though we have really gone full circle in terms of release dates, because I originally was releasing these episodes on Sunday, then needed more time. So I was like, well, what if I release it at the middle of the week? That day of Mercury, Wednesday. It's also New Comic Book Day. The middle of the week's a good release date, Wednesdays. But then I always ended up getting busy and could never keep a schedule. And so this episode is coming out on a Sunday
And it seems like that's just how the cookie crumbles. And next week's episode, which I'm going to do everything possible to make sure it comes out on the right day, because it ruins the theme of the episode if it doesn't. But as a slight, I don't think it's a spoiler warning because it gets you ready for the episode. But next week's episode, I usually keep the themes top secret. But next week, Sunday, is 3/14, which of course is 3.14, aka Pi Day, the day before the Ides of March. And so we are going to have a Pi Day celebration. So if you can, get yourself a pie from the grocery store or make one. You know, could be anything. Could be cherry pie, could be blueberry pie, could be a French silk, could be a key lime pie a la mode. I'm talking ice cream on the side. Whatever kind of pie you enjoy, get your pie. I will try to have the episode out on in the morning of 3/14, so that so any time that Sunday you can watch it. But have a slice of pie with me and let's enjoy Pi Day together. The only other big kind of announcement I have is I had talked about how I had been working on a website, and luckily enough, I finally figured out the best way to go about this website. For the longest time, I was trying to use Squarespace, finding it way more difficult than it should be. Come to find out, Adobe, I already paid for Adobe Creative Cloud. That's how I'm editing this episode right now in Adobe Premiere, and I use Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. Because I'm already paying for that, I have access to Adobe Portfolio, which is basically the same thing as Squarespace, but better. This is not an advertisement. I wish it was, because I would love to have Adobe pay for my fucking shit. That's such an expensive fucking bill every goddamn month. Jesus fucking Christ. But anyways, I digress. With Adobe Premiere, I have access to make as many websites as I want, and I just have to pay for the custom URL. So I've been working on a website. It's not fully done. All of the episodes of the Omnia Sol art show are on the website, ready to go. However, what is missing is I don't have all of my comic strip, which is currently on hiatus, ZZZ. I have 35 pages total, and I have about like 16 or 17 uploaded, hopefully more by the time this episode comes out. So it's not fully out, but if you're watching the show, I'm still going to put the website in there because it's ready to go enough. But the website is, the URL I snagged is omniasol.art. So like my social media and Patreon, everything is Omnia Sol Art. I was able to snag the URL omniasol.art. One thing that they don't warn you about with Adobe, not Premiere, what's it called, Portfolio, is that you can only have one custom URL, because I snagged another URL hoping to redirect it, but omniasolart.com, I snagged that one. You can only connect one custom URL to your portfolio page, so I couldn't redirect there, unfortunately, but I was able to redirect to my Threadless shop. So if you go to omniasolart.com, redirects to my Threadless, you can get some merch. I'm hoping to have some more designs up there. I did get the show art for the podcast up there, so you can buy that on a t-shirt if you want, as well as a few pages from ZZZ, but I'm hoping to have all the pages from ZZZ uploaded on a Threadless, so you can get it on a t-shirt, get it on a tote bag, you can get it on whatever the fuck you want to get it on. But yeah, that's my major announcement. I'm really excited for this website. And it's been a lot of hard work, but it's been fun to figure out the little coding of like when I'm embedding the videos from YouTube, figuring out how to make it a bigger size, figuring out how to autoplay on HD. Because I don't know if you notice watching at home, but when you try to watch the show on a TV, I think it autoplays on HD, but if you try to watch it on a computer or a phone, it'll go down to fucking SD and it looks like fucking crap. And you have to go in and set your settings to make it play in HD. However, I got it on the website. As soon as you click play, it should play in HD, which really helps out, especially for my text, because if it's not in HD, it just looks like shit text looks awful. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and play our second song of the night. This is another song from Daniel Frumberg. This song is called Cupid's Cutup, and it is from the album 6 Songs, which you can find at danielfrumberg.com/album/6 songs, or just go to danielfrumberg.com. You can find it, or danielfrumbergmusic.bandcamp.com. You can find it. The album is called 6 Songs. The song is called Cupid Cutup, and go listen to it. Go support Daniel and say thank you to Daniel for helping make this show possible, providing wonderful music for the Omnia Sol Art Show. We will be back with you after the song. Enjoy. And we are back. That was Cupid Cutup by Daniel Frumberg, danielfrumberg.com. We're going to go ahead and move to our third and final segment of the night. It is the time in the show where I read from a book. It's time for words. It's time for words. It's time for words. Words. So for tonight's words, since the simulation theory has, in my opinion, so much to do with Gnosticism, of this fake reality that is malevolent compared to a real reality, I am going to read from Georges Bataille, the Bataille reader. Going to go ahead and read a segment of Base Materialism and Gnosticism, just to give you a taste. It's a very dense essay, but just to give you a taste, going to read a little bit from it. Hope you enjoy. So here it is. Gnosticism, in fact, before and after the preachings of Christianity, and in almost bestial way, no matter what were its metaphysical developments, introduced a most impure fermentation into Greco-Roman ideology, borrowed from everywhere, from Egyptian tradition, from Persian dualism, from Eastern Jewish heterodoxy, elements that conformed the least to the established intellectual order. It added its own dreams, heedlessly expressing a few monstrous obsessions. It was not revolted in its religious practices by the basest and thus most upsetting forms of Greek or Chaldeo-Assyrian magic and astrology, and at the same time it utilized, but perhaps more exactly it compromised, newborn Christian theology and Hellenistic metaphysics. So there you go. The full essay is a lot longer and denser, and I would have read more, but with every time I tried to read a segment of it, fumbling all over my words because it's so dense, and also he gets on certain kind of thought tangents that I wouldn't call them tangents, but he gets on topics and you just want to keep going with it. And the problem with that is that this is, I can't just sit here and read a whole book to you, but I wanted to come to a good stopping point. Hopefully I did that. Hopefully that gives you a good taste of the essay. And if you like it, you can go read Bataille yourself, because I think it's great. Base Materialism and Gnosticism. Check it out. Georges Bataille. And that was this week's segment of It's time for words. It's time for words. It's time for words. All right. Well, it is time for our third and final Daniel Frumberg song of the night. This is another unreleased track coming from Daniel. This song is called, let me see, what was it called? It is called, is it Untitled Fragment? I think it's titled Untitled Fragment. I'll gotta double check on that. But anyways, Daniel Frumberg, danielfrumberg.com. Go check out his work. Go check out his YouTube videos. Those links will be in the show notes. And enjoy this song. Let me double check. What is this song called? It's called, I should auto-tune that. It is called, it's called Untitled Fragment. So it's untitled and it's a fragment. And I hope that you enjoy it. And we will be back with you after the song. All right, and we are back. That was Untitled Fragment by Daniel Frumberg, danielfrumberg.com, danielfrumbergmusic.bandcamp.com. Links in the show notes. Check it out. Check out his YouTube channel. Thank him for supporting the show. Go thank him by buying one of his EPs or albums or any, support him financially. And, you help make this show happen because we need great musicians on this show. So it's not just me jabbering for 45 minutes. You need some music to tie everything together. So go support our musicians that make the Omnia Sol art show possible. We are going to go ahead and close out tonight. I think we've had a great show. I hope you agree. If you don't agree, don't really care. It's my show. I think we had a great show. The visuals for the show, I think, have been very interesting, and I'm very interested to see how the show progresses. I know I've said that like a million times, but as I develop new glitch art techniques, I'm excited to see where the show goes, especially being able to merge DVD player with VCR and have the footage overlap with each other. I think that is a very fun development that we will cultivate here at the Omnia Sol Art Show. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Omnia Sol Art, social media at Omnia Sol Art, new website. If you don't want to type in the Patreon address and you just want to go straight to the website, go to the website omniasol.art, click that support button. It'll take you straight to the Patreon. Click music. It'll take you straight to Bandcamp. Click ZZZZZZ. It'll be my comic strip. The page opens up to TOSAS, but you can also click the TOSAS link or the logo link. It'll take you to every single episode of the show. So watch the show, catch up if you're behind, Thank you so much for tuning in to the Omnia Sol Art Show, and we will see you next week for Pi Day. Get your Pi ready for Pi Day 3.14. We will see you next week. Goodbye.